Hello once again, and welcome to another edition of the SaskAgToday.com Roundtable. We're joined by the Chief Agricultural Editor for SaskAgToday.com, Kevin Hursh, and 620 CKRM Regina AgriNews Director, Ryan Young. I'm GX94 Yorkton Agriculture Director, Doug Falconer. And of course, May is wrapping up. We're moving into June. And it sounds like seeding is getting pretty close to completion for most parts of Saskatchewan, at least. Kevin, I understand you have an update on your farm for
that. Yeah, finished. My stuff's been finished for a little while. Did some custom seeding and field swaps and seeded barley for a number of days for some neighbors. But yeah, I've been done for a couple days now. There's still in the Southwest, there's still fields to be done and some people that they still have a bit of work to do, and showers delaying things. Overall, 77% in the province is behind the long-term average, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of consternation over that. Conditions have been really good as far as emergence and seeding into moisture. So I think people will trade that for being just a little bit behind the average.
Ryan, in the Regina area, seeding is progressing, and you've had some rain there too?
That's right. Yeah, as of this recording on Thursday, yesterday, we got a shot of rain here in the Regina area, so that was really nice to see. And some more crops continuing to develop nicely and grow according to schedule, for the lack of a better phrase. There's kind of the odd field that is kind of behind in terms of emergence, but overall, it's been pretty good on this end.
I was surprised. If this would have been last week, I guess I walked off the edge of the field at the evening off to the truck to pick it up and across the grass in the ditch, and what the heck's jumping all over the place, and it was hordes of little tiny grasshoppers that had hatched. So I think that some of those concerns will come to play. The wet weather hasn't stopped grasshoppers. Cool weather may have delayed emergence, but it's still coming.
Yeah, I spoke with the entomologist from Manitoba. He said the grasshoppers that are already a decent size, he says those ones aren't crop pests. It's the new ones that are just hatching now are the ones to be concerned about. So I guess we'll keep an eye on that as well. We had a shot of rain here in Yorkton on Thursday, a good thunderstorm. We had, according to Environment Canada anyway, 17.8 millimeters in the 24-hour period for Thursday, May 30th. So a fairly decent little dump. I think it slowed a few people down. I don't think anyone's in the field today here on Friday, May 31st, but probably by tomorrow or Sunday, if we don't get any more, we could see some more progress here. Over in our neighboring province, Manitoba, their latest crop report says 64% seeded, so actually a fair bit behind Saskatchewan. Does that surprise you at all?
They can be, some years they can be ahead. These percentages, and they do the best they can, especially in Saskatchewan with a good network of crop reporters. But sometimes we take these percentages as gospel, and I'm not sure they always are. And one example I would point to in Saskatchewan is that as of May 27th, SaskAg was saying that 78% of the chickpeas were planted in the province. Okay, that sounds fine. Well, the fact is, to be insured under crop insurance, all chickpeas need to be seeded by May 21st. So somehow I think the reporting process, some of the people reporting maybe aren't as familiar with chickpeas. So sometimes the information we get through these reports can be a little bit skewed. We tend to take them as gospel, but there should be a plus or minus applied to it, because it's just people's estimates of where these things are at.
Some other items to keep track of this week. We heard the Canadian Taxpayers Federation had commissioned a poll through Leger polling, and it found that 70% of Canadians right across the country felt that farmers should not have to pay a carbon tax on natural gas and propane that they use on the farm. That's a fairly significant number. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's really good support for taking the carbon tax off of propane and natural gas for drying grain and heating and cooling barns. One thing I wish, I fully agree with, there should be no carbon tax on that. In fact, I'm an advocate that there shouldn't be a carbon tax on anything. It's the wrong way to do things. But I don't like the argument that, well, we need to take the carbon tax off farmers because it's adding to our grocery costs. really, if I spend money to dry grain and have to pay carbon tax for it, I've got no way to pass that cost on. So in many ways, that is not necessarily reaching the consumer. The tax on transportation is, the tax on many other things is reaching the consumer. But as farmers and most commodities, we're price takers, and our expenses start and end with us. And the fact that we're paying more carbon tax, we've got no way to pass that on to the consumer.
Yeah, certainly farmers would have less money in their pockets, so they might not be able to afford as many groceries or perks that they normally would, but I guess it wouldn't affect the rank and file Canadian out there who's not a farmer.
That's how I view it. Yeah.
And the capital gains tax, we've been hearing still some discussions on that. The federal government talking about perhaps passing it before the Commons rises for the summer. It still seems to be making some news.
Ryan, you followed that in the House of Commons with Ag Minister MacAulay having comments on that, I believe.
Yeah, he was appearing before the Commons Ag Committee yesterday, and he kind of got into a little bit of a debate, shall we say. I guess depending on your perspective, a debate on one side from Conservative Committee member Warren Steinley. He asked Lawrence MacAulay if he was aware of, any of the decisions made or cuts made, not only with that, but also another particular issue that we'll get into in a moment. And with regards to the budget, Lawrence said, "I'm not aware of any such decision making. I'm not aware of what's in the budget," and that just stunned Steinley. You could audibly hear it where he's like, "Sorry, as a minister, you said no." Lawrence said, "Yeah, I'm not the one that writes the budget." So you don't hear that very often from a federal minister or a minister on any level. You would want to, give some sort of a perception, I guess, of, what you're talking about. But in this case, I guess, yeah, it's just kind of stunned. I'm even stunned. When I first
Yeah.
heard it this morning, I was just like, what did I just hear?
And I think Steinley asked if there'd been any consultations with farm groups and organizations over what the capital tax change would mean. And he said, "Oh, I didn't know that was going to be in the budget." And
Mhm.
I don't know what federal protocol is, but I would have assumed that every federal minister would have be in part of the budget making process and would have advance notice of any change affecting their constituents.
Yeah, and there was another thing too, related to the Ag Committee as well. MacAulay was also asked about the decision to cut 35% of funding from 4-H Canada in this 2024 budget. And when asked about that, Lawrence MacAulay basically said that he's going to make sure that some of these programs are still available. And he also mentioned Ag in the Classroom, among other programs, kind of dancing around the question. As for 4-H Canada themselves, they've had to lay off 7 employees as a result of the funding cut. An interim CEO, he said that they're doing the best that they can, and he credited the staff for, kind of picking up the pieces and, doing the best that they can with the sudden change in circumstances. So far, it hasn't affected any programming whatsoever, but he didn't rule out any sort of cuts or changes moving forward.
All right, and of course, we're heading into June now, and that means we have another farm show coming up, Canada's Farm Show in Regina. I'm sure that's something you're looking forward to there, Ryan.
As always, yeah, it's always fun to see you guys come up to Regina here and kind of check things out in terms of the latest tech stuff, ag tech stuff, and other things going on at Canada's Farm Show. There's always something to see, someone to talk to. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to the most, is just kind of walking around, talking to farmers, what they're interested in, what they're looking at, their thoughts on things going on and current events and all that jazz. Yeah.
And Kevin, are you planning on making it to Regina as well?
Yeah, hope to make it to Regina. And it's interesting, you hear both Canada's Outdoor Farm Show and Ag in Motion in July, gearing up for promotion, and you hear lots from both of them at this time of year. So different dynamics between the two shows, but hopefully both can continue to be successful.
Well, that's going to do it for another edition of the SaskAgToday.com Roundtable. On behalf of 620 CKRM AgriNews Director Ryan Young and SaskAgToday.com Chief Agricultural Editor Kevin Hursh, I'm Doug Falconer from GX94 in Yorkton saying so long until next time.